Hi, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Driscoll.
And I'm Jim Kerr.
And welcome to 15 Minutes of Fame. Jim, I'm a little sick right now. I don't know if you can see it. I don't look as good.
It's a lockout.
Yeah, I was just going to say, did something happen in the NHL that made me a little sick? Something maybe gone on?
Yeah, nothing is right in the world right now. We've talked a lot about it. We talk about it all the time.
That's right.
It's been a couple months now, but it's finally happened.
Well, what got us to this point, Jim?
Well, the NHL wants to take some of the revenue back from the players that they got under the last CBA, and they're refusing to budge on that. Yeah. I don't even think they met on Saturday, the deadline day. So there were a couple of meetings here and there, but nothing's really getting done. Neither side wants to budge too much. It seems like every offer, the other side says, "Well, you're not really moving far enough for us."
Yeah.
So it's getting a bit hostile, even like to me, anyways. Despite all the players getting signed, while the owners argue this stuff, but
yeah,
it's finally here, and maybe it'll get serious once we start missing stuff, once training camp's supposed to have opened, and once, the exhibition games are supposed to have been played. But it's here. Maybe we can stop talking about it now.
Well, I was just going to say, we've opened up the show with it every week for the past 3 or 4, and we understand why. And I don't think, we're the only people who were looking at the crystal ball saying, absolutely, there was not going to, like, we were saying it just like everybody else. There was going to be a lockout. But I guess you named it, though, Jim. The next step is, how long is this lockout going to be? And you know what? The only thing I have is that if it goes past January 1st and the NHL misses their Winter Classic, then I would say the whole thing's over. That's it. Yeah. That's my only. I don't know anything else other than that.
Yeah, the next big milestone we're waiting for, I guess, is that point where they say, okay, there's not enough time to, even if we were to reach a deal. And Gary Bettman, he's so smug.
Oh.
No, I'm surprised he hasn't called the season off already.
The whole season already, exactly.
But it'll be interesting. The next couple of weeks, I would say, are pretty key.
I hope so.
To sort of set the tone. But if there's no movement and it's not really looking good, and we go weeks or months,
then that's that.
The season. I heard Eric Cole say it on TV the other day. He said we could lose another season.
Oh man, brutal.
That's not something I wanted to hear right before the lockout.
Well, exactly. Well, okay, what's the deal with the PA? They're still trying to have the lockout declared illegal in a couple of different places, including right around home.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that they filed papers in Alberta and Quebec hoping to block a lockout due to labor laws.
Yeah.
That is not going to happen until a few weeks from now anyways. They wanted to have an injunction pre-lockout.
Right.
So that it would, they would still get paid and all that stuff. But they said they couldn't do that. So they are going to meet in Alberta and in Quebec over the next couple of weeks. And, I mean, wouldn't that be funny if there's a 3-team league?
It really would. Really would. I would love it. The one thing that I am hearing about this, though, is that if they do get this injunction, which honestly I don't think it's going to happen, but sure, whatever, basically the Flames and the Oilers just show up and they can continue to practice and do all that stuff and get paid. So, I mean, it would be not bad for them.
They could be baseball players for a while.
Wow,
just
exactly.
Show up, hang out, skate around.
Not do a whole lot. Well, it won't be long now before players start jetting off to play in Europe. In fact, we see that Evgeny Malkin and Sergei Gonchar have already signed in Russia and are going to be there right away. But could you imagine? I mean, one of the stories out here is Sidney Crosby says he's considering going overseas.
Yeah, I figured that would be the end of the lockout talks right there. The golden child, right?
Yeah.
Hey, imagine if he goes over to Europe and gets a concussion or gets hurt, or never mind the fact that they probably have to. He maybe has to insure his contract himself. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, totally.
That'd be a pretty devastating thing to have happen during the lockout, especially for the Penguins, obviously, but even for the NHL. That's their guy.
Oh yeah, to see him suiting up for another league would be absolutely devastating. That'd be on the front page of most of the Canadian newspapers. The interesting thing about his contract is that, he's got about $113 million left on that contract that has to be insured. And it doesn't sound like too many people are jumping up for that. But even that being said, there are lots of other players who are all going to be over there. So.
Yeah, I'm sure someone will snap him up in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
They'll pay whatever it takes to get him over there.
Wow,
but that's you nailed it there with Sidney Crosby suiting up in another league. That's got to be tough for the NHL to see.
Absolutely.
Even if they know that as soon as they sign the deal, he'll be back. Still, it's got to be tough to see.
No, absolutely. Oh, did you lose me there, Jim?
Yeah, you might you might have to cut that bit out.
Oh yeah, I'll cut that bit out. But that's okay. Little do you know, Jim, that I actually cut lots of parts out. See, you never watched this again, and I cut loads of parts out of this. We're gonna carry on like it didn't happen though. Lots of big contracts handed out before things became official. Shane Doan, Tyler Seguin, Kerry Lettinen. I'm just gonna keep going. Alex Burrows, to name a few. Boy,
you're under the weather. That's it. You're just under the weather.
I'm sick. You can't blame me.
It's all that Dayquil or NyQuil or whichever.
Exactly right. Bear with me, folks. Gotta love the mixed signals though coming from the NHL GMs versus, and it's amazing.
That's the thing that bothers me the most about the whole thing.
Totally.
The whole time while they're arguing for all this stuff, in the very same breath, they're signing players to big money contracts. It makes the whole thing look like a joke.
Oh, an absolute joke. Like there were some, Jim, that were an hour before the lockout that they were coming through. It's like the NHL. It was like the free agency or the trade deadline and stuff. It's crazy. Yeah, unbelievable. Listen, speaking of unbelievable, on to football. The Edmonton Eskimos played the Hamilton Ticats this weekend after back-to-back losses to the Stamps. Going into the Labor Day Classic home, Jim, they were looking pretty good. They were 5-3, I think is what it was. But really, 3 games later, it's a completely different season. What's going on?
Oh, my goodness. The wheels fell off in Hamilton. That was just, it all came down to the play right before half.
Yeah.
Where not only did they miss a field goal with the brand new kicker, it was blocked and a run back for a touchdown. That destroyed them right there.
Right.
The whole second half was just penalties and mistakes and dropped balls and just really anytime you see all 3 quarterbacks in a game, it's not good.
No,
it's not good.
We were talking earlier, Jim. I asked you, really, where's this defense that we were talking about at the beginning of the year? But that's really not a fair thing to say, is it?
Yeah, I think they're getting run ragged here, and they're still coming up with big plays. Even in the recent slide we're seeing here, they're still coming up with big plays, but they're on the field all the time. Right. Unless the offense can get anything going and have some meaningful possessions, the defense I'm not going to say they're tired, but they're worn out is probably a better way of describing it.
Don't we have 3 of the best running backs in the entire league?
We do. We do. You need a good quarterback, or you need a quarterback to. I'm not saying that our 3 guys aren't good,
right?
Because they've all shown flashes, but the consistency. You need to be out on you have to have the offense on the field enough to get everyone a touch or let your running backs run wild. But right now we're doing the 2 running back thing too because we have a spoil of riches there.
That's right.
And no offense to use them in.
Boy, sure could use some sort of quarterback, some guy who's dedicated to the team, dedicated to the city. Somebody who kind of who thought maybe some sort of Ricky Ray type quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Ricky Ray, but Ricky Ray type quarterback wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, exactly. It's not working for us right now, and that game against the Ticats was that
was it right there.
It's tough to watch.
Absolutely.
By the end, you're watching just to see how bad it gets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not fun.
Well, let's move on to the GABBYs now, folks. These are good and bad by you. Let's start things off with a good to the Baltimore Orioles. With a win on Thursday, they ended a franchise record run of 14 straight losing seasons. It was also their 13th straight win in extra innings, which I can't believe. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Maybe there really is some hope for some Toronto Blue Jays there.
Seeing a team like Baltimore up at the top of the AL East, which is a tough division, maybe there's some hope for the Blue Jays.
Absolutely.
Maybe if they didn't have all their star players injured halfway through the season and an ace who can't win a game, that might also help.
Okay, fair enough.
That might help, but it is nice to see. Maybe one day it can be the early 90s again, and we can have a Canadian baseball team that's better than other teams.
That's right.
Woo. Let's give a good to the NFL, who debuted a female line judge last weekend. Shannon Eastin is the first woman to be part of an officiating crew in a regular season game. She's a replacement ref.
Okay,
Still, big milestone. And shout out to my boy Tim for sending that one in.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I think this replacement ref thing is hilarious. It's a lot of fun on Sundays watching this stuff. So I'm really enjoying it. But good for Shannon Eastin. Good to Texans defensive end J.J. Watt. He admitted to Pro Football Talk that he picked up the Miami Dolphins snap count by watching HBO's Hard Knocks. Makes you wonder how much longer a show like that will be around if people can get that good information off of it.
Yeah, that just shows you how good HBO is at that stuff.
No kidding. No kidding.
Let's give a bad to fans of the Panama national soccer team who camped outside of Canada's hotel in Panama City for a few days straight before a big game, banging drums, singing, fireworks, all kinds of crazy stuff. It was so bad, Jeff, that the team bus to training, cars would pull up alongside it, cut them off, and park.
That's hilarious.
That's madness. Unfortunately for Canada, they did lose the game. They also lost star Dwayne De Rosario for a while due to injury. I think he's out 12 weeks or something like that. As that was happening, like as he hurt himself, the lights went out in half the stadium.
Wow.
And it was a big delay. Like there was 15 minutes of like extra time in the first half because they were standing around with no lights.
Interesting.
It was strange that they love their soccer down there. Imagine if we cared that much about anything.
Well, it reminds me a little bit of the early morning DJs in Edmonton will find out the phone number or where the hotel is of opposing players in the NHL and phone them definitely during the playoffs. Now, it doesn't happen all that often and nothing compared to what Panama City is. But could you imagine? Like, we love hockey, you and I.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we love hockey that much.
I wouldn't. No, I don't think I would stay up all night. Just, I mean, are there beers?
Yeah, that's good point.
That's the thing. That we need ground rules.
Solid.
Right?
Yes, that's valid. Absolutely.
But that, like, imagine if it's just, regular season. I know we don't have one right now, but man, just regular season. The Flames are staying at the Westin, and we just camp outside all night.
Crazy.
Boo.
Yeah.
We're not that super fanny.
We're not that super fanny, and we're super fans. How about a bad to the Italian soccer team that has banned players from having sex in the lead up to games? Napoli says avoiding sexual activity for 2 days before a game is fundamental to prevent muscular strains, contractions, or inflammations. I wouldn't know anything about this, but I can't find it hard to believe.
There are jokes to be made, but I will not be the one to make them.
Attaboy, good for you. High ground,
That's restraint right there.
That's right.
Killing me inside, but that's restraint right there.
Sir.
Finally, a bat to the Denver Broncos fans who had a bit of an unfortunate experience at Sports Authority Field, which is a pretty sweet name for the field.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just a sports box. Sports Authority. Reports say pigeons have been pooping on fans in Section 306, and apparently it's something that's been happening for years in that section. Some fans are there with the towels over their heads for the whole game and watching their beers or their soft drinks, keeping a hand over top just to make sure. That would ruin my enjoyment, I think.
Yeah,
it makes me mad when it's on my car and I don't even see it happen.
That's right. Well, it does happen.
If I'm there in the process.
Oh, yeah.
Price the tickets too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus, you'd get your gang jersey, your 18.
Nice.
If you remember that from last show.
I was just gonna say, way to bring that full circle from last week. I like that.
That's
I like that. Anybody who's listening, make sure they go watch last week's. That's good stuff. The punchline this week, folks, is the Memphis Grizzlies, Jim.
Now, the promotion here is one for the ages. The team is offering gas cards and preseason tickets for people who turn in guns.
Very nice.
Best part is there's a limit of 3 per person. So, you get a $50 gas card. Not bad. Price of gas these days. That's, a couple liters?
Yeah.
And 2 free Grizzlies preseason tickets. My thing is, though, I wonder how many players are going to show up.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I need $50
Does Gilbert Arenas play for the Memphis Grizzlies? But is it like, I love that there's a limit of 3. Like,
because there are that many people with guns.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, so you must take that back. You know, like,
you
we don't want that gun.
This one.
Yeah, you keep that one.
Give me another gas card.
Exactly.
Well played.
My favorite is going to be the front page of the Memphis newspaper the next day is 1,000 shot in gun massacre is what's going to happen. Because you need all those people with guns in one place at one time.
Yeah. And some other Memphis team is going to give away tickets for the Bullets.
Yeah, that's right. I like it. Well, folks, that's our 15 Minutes of Fame up for this week. Join us again next week when we get a whole new 15 Minutes of Fame. In the meantime, I'm Sicky Magoo.
And I'm perfectly healthy.
Have a good week, folks. Oh, man.